and welcome to Salmon's Pizzeria, your slice of Scottish football. Tonight, I am your host, Callum, where we will be talking about the greatest league in the world, the Scottish Championship. This time, I am not by myself, and I'm also not drinking Falkirk tears. Instead, it is my own tears because our fellow Morton fan, Aiden here, he's drinking mine.
Looking forward to this.
Honestly, it's like being asked in the group chat, Callum, do you want to do the championship podcast this week? No, I don't. I don't want to get bullied by Aiden. So we might as well get the bullying out of the way. The first game that we shall cover is, of course, Greenock Morton 2, Raith Rovers 0. Aiden, you were at the game. I wasn't because I was too ill, and honestly, thank fuck, because that would have been the end of me. judging by comments from Rovers fans. So we start off with the first half, and from Rovers tinted specs, it seemed that Raith very much controlled the first 20 minutes, quite a lot of half chances. Easton with probably the best chance of the lot, where he had a long shot from about 25-30 yards out, and it hit the bar like right above the top corner. Yeah. Would you agree with that early statement?
Yeah, first 20 minutes was all Raith Rovers. I thought Sean Byrne was a big part as to why Raith Rovers controlled the first 20 minutes of the game. Dylan Easton, as you say, that chance 25 yards out and he's just hit it. We gave far too much space to Raith Rovers in the middle of the park. Ryan Mullen had absolutely no chance if that was going in. Aidan Connolly as well, he had a few chances in the game. He likes to, also I don't think he's a natural winger, is he? Because he cuts in a lot. I don't know if that's
you're right. He does like to cut in. When we were in League One, it was just about every other game. He would find a way to just cut in from the right and just hit it top left or something with his left foot.
Yeah, he'd done that a lot in the first half, trying to get himself to the edge of the box. But a lot of his shots were just aimed straight at Jack Baird or Kirk Broadfoot, so it's quite meaningless opportunities. But then after the 20-minute spell, I don't know what happened to Raith.
Yeah, it seemed as though Morton weathered the storm a bit, and they did start to get forward, and there was a early shout for a penalty, which was interesting defending from Kevin Dabrowski. Now, to set the scene, a long ball goes over the top because, of course, it's Morton, and it's like, so you got Freeman coming, like following the ball, and then but it's going towards Kevin, but like Freeman just sort of stops, and so it's like Kevin then touches the ball to bring it back into the box, but one of the Morton strikers, I'm not sure who it was. Who was it? Sorry,
Owen Moffat.
Owen Moffat. That's it. He nearly gets to it. Now from the highlights angle from the TV, I'm not entirely sure. Where about were you sitting in the stand?
I was pretty much down at the side that it was at.
You're down at the side that it was at. Okay, so we would have. So it's like that's where the camera was for the highlights. So we would have had like similar views. Looking at it, it looked awfully similar to what happened again for us against Hamilton, where it's like Kev gets the ball first but wipes out the man.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. So it's like it's one of those where it does get given, but sometimes it doesn't, and it just shows. It's just like, does anybody really know what the rules are in football at this point?
I think it's one of those ones. If I'm going to shout for it because it's Morton that it's coming against, whereas if it's the other way about, I'm absolutely raging.
Yeah, no, it's like that's what I'm thinking as well. It's one of those where it's just like you want it given for your team, but if that happens against you, you're raging about it. And I very much was against Hamilton, and you probably weren't very happy about it not being given.
Yeah, as well. You look at it, it's 0-0 at the time. If we can get the free kick or the penalty, Dabrowski's probably off.
See, there's a thing about the double. I've got no idea what the rules are anymore, but I swear there's a thing with like double jeopardy where it's like if you concede a penalty by fouling someone, you just get a booking. It's like, I think I've got no idea anymore. It just keeps on changing. I mean, I think the only red card we had for an actual penalty was from Sean Byrne, and that's because he fell over onto the ball and just sort of grabbed it thinking he was going to get a free kick. You know, it's like muscle memory, but he got sent off for that. after that, it was very much end to end. Probably the best chance you have Aiden Connolly again. Rovers seemed to just have this one plan when it came to going forward in the first half, and it was just getting it down that left hand side and then just cutting in. And to be fair, they did it a good few times. And
Yeah,
with that sort of tactic, it is just a case of just barraging the defence, and eventually one time it will get to someone and it will go into the back of the net. Closest we got was with Connolly getting it, but his shot went over. I believe it. Yeah, his shot went over, and then again Morton with the last big chance of the first half. There was a bit of a smash on the edge of the box, and then it comes out. I'm not sure who takes a shot, but it takes a couple of deflections off of two Rovers defenders. And it's like Kevin is going the right way anyway, but it's gone from like going low to going quite high, and he makes a really good stop. Like really, if there's one thing you cannot fault Dabrowski for, it is his shot stopping.
yeah.
He's really good at that, especially with reactive saves and whatnot. But so that's the first half. How were you feeling at halftime?
Quite happy to go at 0-0 at half time because Raith had their chances early on,
Mm.
as we've said. To me, we only really had one noticeable chance in the first half, and it was Niall McGinn. When he picked up the ball in the halfway line, Ross Matthews has just dropped back about 10 yards, letting Niall McGinn do what he wants, and Dabrowski put off a good save down to his right, I think it was. Other than that, we done nothing in the first half, so for me, I was happy going out the break. But for me, what changed for us was when Ali Crawford got injured and Michael Garrity came on. Raith Rovers looked like they had absolutely no clue how to handle him.
Yeah, it was. I think it was said on the Rovers podcast where it very much felt like a case of whoever gets the first goal is going to run away with it.
Yeah,
And that ended up being true because second half starts. The change for the Rovers, you say McGarity came on for Morton. The change for Raith was Brown coming on for Sean Byrne. Now, whether that's down to injuries or not, which is probable, knowing Raith Rovers, because my God, have we been having a horrid run with them. We have it comes from a corner. Was it a corner that came beforehand where the ball came into the box? It got clear. It got cleared,
yeah.
and
Second phase of
then
play, and it's come to Zach
yeah,
Delaney.
it's like Finlay Pollock. He just gets bodied. It's
Yeah,
just a case of him being a young lad. And he just gets bodied, and then ball comes into the box, and it's awkward. It's like Hanlon looks like he's about to get it, but it's like it just carries over him, and then Murray almost gets to it, but it's just under him.
yeah,
But Philip Superevich, who's on loan from Motherwell, was able to get ahead in it. And to be fair, it is a good header. You know, it's right in that top corner. It's quite close to the top corner. So that puts Morton 1-0 up, and Raith Rovers being Raith Rovers. Yeah, that was not the only goal conceded. um, what is it? It's a Garrity's ball. Garrity's goal. Sorry,
yeah,
comes from a long ball. Jokes there, but it's really really awkward because it's launched long, but then it's like Matthews has got to it, and he's obviously tried to head it back towards a Morton goal, but it like bounces off of his head, and it ruins two defenders and Garrity's through 1-on-1. And I will say, really good finish. You know, it's right in that bottom corner, post and end. It's like Kevin's 6'7", but he can get down quite well, quite quickly, and he wasn't able to get to it. So very much a good finish. So two goals in quick succession. You must have been loving life because I
yeah.
wasn't.
I mean, you could kind of see it coming at half time. I said it to you earlier on. The Sean Byrne sub was absolutely crazy. And looking at him at full time, he's definitely not injured. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts your next game for you. There was nothing wrong with him. You've brought on Scott Brown, and it looks exactly the same player as Ross Matthews. They just both want to sit there and drop back. Sean Byrne was controlling the game in the first half, and he was the reason at Easton and Connolly had so much freedom. And then, as you say, we've just tore you apart in quick succession. You can call it a long ball, but Owen Moffat's tracked back to help Zach Delaney double up on whoever was down your right hand side the second half.
Yeah, he was down. He was basically a right wing back
Yeah,
when he launched it.
he's doubled up well with the fullback, and he's just sent it to Michael Garrity, and as you say, it was a good finish. Still a young guy as well. So for us, we knew there was no coming back for Raith Rovers at 2-0. And sometimes you can say, oh, if they get one goal, they're back in it. I never have ever feared Raith Rovers scoring at 2-0.
Yeah, no, we have like a absolutely shocking record when it comes to 2-0 being the scoreline. I think it's like if we are 2 goals up, we could. I think it was like some daft run, and it was like I think it was like when we go 2 goals up, we've conceded like over 60 goals, but then when we go 2-0 down, we scored like 10 or something like that. It's really really bad. Another point that, again, on the stats, of the last 30 games where Raith have conceded, the second goal for the other team is scored within the next 10 minutes. So it's very much a case of if you get a goal, then you're going to get another one very soon. There was, after that, there wasn't really much. It was a handball claim on Paul Hanlon.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you're saying, we have similar viewpoints of it. From just again, you were sitting in the stand. I was obviously just watching the highlights. It is one of those where it's, again, like the Kevin thing, is like it can be given. It's just sometimes it isn't. Look, watching the highlights, it looks as though it's like Hannon is bringing his arm in, and again, handball rule just changes all the time. So no idea if it's a case of okay, he's made an effort to it's like not hit him with his arm, because we have had instances. It was Raith against Livingston where the referee missed the fact that the Livingston player handballed it even though his arm was out. Like that didn't get given. So for Hanlon bringing his arm back and it hitting his arm and it not being given, I feel like that has balanced it. It's a real shame it's happened when we are 2-0 down.
I mean, I think for us as well, we also felt annoyed that Dabrowski never got penalised in the first half, and then
Yeah.
got the handball shout in the second half. The referee was absolutely atrocious again. I've got no idea who he was, but every week for us at the minute, it seems to be something. Last week, where United were denied a Stonewall penalty, and then Ayr scored a penalty with a double touch, and he never gave anything against that. The manager's always moaning about it, as you probably know, but when you've been denied a penalty in the first half, and then there's another one in the second half, you're like, Jesus, it's just going to be one of these seasons for us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this is something. It's very much a lower league issue with VAR. Is the fact that with the fact that VAR has been implemented in the top flight, that's taking some of the better referees that you would get at this
Yeah,
level. They're being taken up to referee the Premiership games, whilst they have referees on the VAR, and it does mean that the refereeing has just gotten worse. Like the last few years, it has gotten significantly worse. And
yeah,
when we do get someone coming down from the Premiership, someone like a Colin Stephen as a prime example, what ends up happening is they. I think it must be something in the back of their mind where it's like they're so used to that safety net
yeah,
of having the VAR to like come in if they mess up. It's just like they don't have that sort of. They don't have the balls to make decisions. They don't have the balls. It's like to make like the big decisions. It's like in the was it I think it was the Falkirk game where it's like it could have been no Hamilton again, where it could have been argued Aki's could have had a player sent off, and it's a case of if VAR sees that, there's a good chance of that player being sent off. So that is definitely something that people do seem to forget when it comes to the issues surrounding VAR.
yeah. That's the same
After
last week for us as well. Colin Stephen was our referee, and when Ayr scored the penalty with a double touch, you look at him and you're like, you can tell he's wanting somebody to help him out here because he's used to someone being in his ear, saying,
yeah,
"Right,
no,
have a look at
I could go on all day about Colin Stephen. I have never seen him have a good day.
No, you hear it all the time.
Yeah, it's like after the handball incident, there was a couple of half chances for Raith, but Aside from that, it was just a case of Morton shutting up shop for those last, I think it was maybe 10 minutes. Just
Yeah, the thing about us is
holding up.
Kirk Broadfoot's got a lot of mistakes in him, but the one thing he'll happily do is stand there and header balls all day long. He'll never miss a header, and if Raith just want to keep punting balls in the box in the last minutes, he'll swoop them up every day of the week. And
Yeah,
that was
it's like
the
we
problem with Raith.
decided. Let's play long ball Route One tactics against Greenock Morton, the gods of Route One.
that was just the story of the last 10 minutes. Raith get desperate. They wanted to obviously you have to get desperate at 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. They're just sending balls in the box. Ryan Mullins brilliant at collecting a ball in the air. Kirk Broadfoot will deal with it all day as well.
See, it's like my issue with doing that is the fact that we have a tiny. Our squad is not tall. Like outside of Murray and Hanlon, we just do, and also Hamilton. We've got three players who can consistently win headers. And it's just sort of like, if the only one who can do that is Hamilton, then it's like they're just gonna gang up on him.
Yeah.
Although saying that, there was the last time Raith and Morton met in October was last season on Halloween, and I still have no idea how to this day Aiden Connolly, who's like 5'6", scored 2 headers. Like that is just—it's one of those bizarre things I've seen, because I don't think I'd ever seen him score a header before that point.
I think his second goal against us that night. It was very similar to Stuparevic's goal at the weekend. He just
Yeah, it was.
stood
Like,
in
it's
the
like
one
he was
position.
under the defender, but that's where the ball went.
Yeah, he didn't have to move his feet. Like Big Philip at the weekend, he didn't even move. The ball found him perfectly. It was similar to your goal last season against us.
So yeah, that's what happened with that game. You're obviously very happy. My ill self is feeling even worse somehow. So we go on to the battle of the bottom feeders, which was Adrionians versus Dunfermline. Now, watching the highlights, this was actually kind of entertaining in a way of it was just pure end-to-end chaos.
It
it,
looked
it
like
was,
two teams that are desperate as well, though,
it
because it's
was,
two bottom of the table
it
teams.
yeah, it was very much two teams like just desperate for points at this point,
Yeah,
because again they're the bottom two, and it starts off with a big chance early on for McDonald, the Airdrie right back, where the ball just sort of falls to him about 6 yards out at the back post, and he just gets it all wrong. It just goes whoop, way up over the crossbar. But then Dunfermline do get a penalty not long after, and this one is similar to the Kevin Dabrowski incident. Unfortunately, only the one angle, and it's like the worst one, but it does look as though the striker actually nicks the ball past the keeper, and then the keeper does take him out. So I think it's like I was saying, it might sound hypocritical of me saying, "Oh, Kevin Dabrowski didn't deserve to have a penalty conceded," but then the Dunfermline penalty is one. But again, it does not look as though the keeper gets a touch on the ball whatsoever.
no.
No, none
As
at all.
well as
So
Airdrie, on the build up to the Dunfermline penalty, Airdrie are trying to play it from the back again. They play a ball into the midfield and they give it away. A
yeah,
lovely ball from is it Craig Whiting that sent it through the middle.
yeah. It looked like I think it was waiting.
It was a lovely ball through, and the goalkeeper also just takes him out. But Airdrie, they're just their own worst nightmare at the minute. They're still trying to play the basics of last season, and it's biting them in the backside.
Yeah, it's like I think I've mentioned a few times how it's like my concern with Airdrie was the fact it's like, yes, they do play good football. They played really good football last season, but they had better players than they do compared
Yeah,
to this season. Like their squad got decimated over the summer, especially with players who are either in on loan or had contracts expire, and it's not quite working out for them. And of course, Chris Kane manages to get it past the keeper, and then there wasn't really much else that happened in that first half. Although Chris Kane did have another 1-on-1
yeah.
from again just sloppy defending. Edgew were messing about with it, and it's like I think it was a header back to the goalkeeper, and Chris King gets to it first. Luckily, it's at quite an angle, and it was straight at the keeper, so that was easily dealt with. Actually, no, the Edry goal wasn't the first half. No, it was in the second half. Sorry.
Yeah.
So again, very end to end. It's like you could very much sense just by watching the highlights. Yeah, there's definitely a second goal in this game. It's just a case of who's going to get that second goal, and it turned out to be Edry. Ball goes into the box, comes off the head of one of the Edry players. It falls to Hancock at the back post. He managed to beat Denise Mehmet to it because, let's face it, Denise Mehmet is not a very good goalkeeper. And after, oh my god, my throat's going. Stu can edit this out. Still in the recovery. After that, it's more of the same, just end to end, constant half chances for each team. But the two bottom teams, who I think are on the same amount of points, stay on the same amount of points. It finishes 1-0 there.
You can kind of see why they're the two teams down at the bottom end just from watching that game. I mean, look at the Airdrie goal. You've got the Holden Fairland defences over at the far left of the box and Hancock's at the back on his own.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was very similar to what the McDonald chance was, where the ball just ended up at that back post and he was in acres of space.
It's just Mehmet's rooted to his line on both of those the chance as well. McDonald's also fluffed it, but Mehmet's stuck to his line on both chances.
Yeah, no, I'm so confused as to why he got given a 3-year contract. He got given a 3-year contract after Dunfermline. I think it was after Dunfermline came up from League One. I think it was during the summer, but it's like having seen him last season, which is his first of the 3 years, it's just sort of like, oh dear God, you are not championship level.
No, I do kind of fear for Dunfermline this season. Airdrie, I think they'll be fine. They do play some good football. They got a good chance against East Kilbride at the weekend to also try and get a few goals that they did against them earlier in the season. So they could come good, but Dunfermline, I don't see how they go out it.
Yeah, no, it's like I predicted Dunfermline to finish bottom, which made it very awkward when we lost in the derby. But the thing is like with the circumstances of having a red card in the 15th minute, it does sort of put that into perspective. But yeah, it's like Dunfermline they had an awful summer, and I'm not sure what happened to the goalkeeper they've got on loan from Celtic.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name. So if he is listening, I am very sorry, but I obviously remember Mehmet's name. But yeah, Dunfermline do look to be in trouble. The other team that I feel are in trouble are Hamilton Academical, and that continued with a loss to Queen's Park. Now, the thing is, though, I don't think they played too bad in this game. It's like they started very strongly.
Yeah, good early on
in that game. I think it was like the first 5 or 6 highlights. I think 4 or 5 of them were Hamilton, and there were some really good chances in it.
Yeah, I must say though, the Queen's Park, I think it's Dane Murray on loan from Celtic. He was very strong against Hamilton at the weekend. I think there was a chance in the first minute for Hamilton, and he's managed to squeeze him out the road.
It was very much backs to the wall, like from the beginning of the game. By that, and it's sort of like, my God, this isn't the Aki's team that I saw a couple of weeks ago. What's going on here? but it was also the fact that they were actually having chances. That was a big difference. But it's like if they're able to just get a goal in those first 5 minutes, they run away with that.
Yeah.
But Queens do start to get into the game. There is a chance where Fieldson, who is the left back, he goes on a bit of a run on the edge of the box. He manages to get past like 2 or 3 Aki's defenders. He cuts it back to, what's his name? Someone Duncan. I can't remember his first name. Yeah. Having a last name that is a first name is just throwing me off. But he just messes it up badly. He just skies it. Zach Rudden had a really good chance as well, but he just seemed to fluff his lines. I've seen plenty.
I feel like it was quite similar to the Raith Rovers game as well, though. obviously Hamilton controlled the opening spell of the game, Raith controlled the opening spell of the Morton game, and then when they realised we're not getting any joy here, it just collapsed.
Yeah, it is a very obvious thing to say that goals change games, and it's like
Yeah,
these two games have been prime examples where it's a case of whoever's like the first to get a goal is going to win the game just through just being clinical and just getting that momentum on their side. But then first half ends just before we have O'Hara doing an overhead kick, but it's straight to goalkeeper. It would, I think we would have heard about that game a lot more if that went in. But
yeah,
but then, so it's like first half comes to an end. Second half, there wasn't really many highlights in that second half. You got Queens hitting the post quite early on, but then the ball comes in from the left. Just seems to go over everyone and falls to Turner at the back post, who manages to get a touch away and just poke it home. He was just again like the Hancock goal. He was just left completely unmarked.
yeah. I think Hamilton will be disappointed with that goal as well. If you're allowing any opposition player to touch the ball at the back post before taking a shot, there's something
Yeah,
wrong with your defence. You should never be allowed to control a ball.
I
It
know
just
he was just. It was like this, he had so much time. It was like he just touches it. It comes off his chest, and he just boop, just a little poke into the net. And it was just like, how do you that's like so much time for
yeah,
someone to have, but like it's not even 6 yards in front of the goal. It's just like, how does that happen?
yeah. Just the basics of defending as well. A manager like John Rankin will be disappointed that they've lost a goal like that. A
Yeah,
defensive
and
type
then
there as well.
hmm, uh, after that, there again, second half just fizzled out. Duncan, he had another chance right at the end,
Yeah,
but apart from that, nothing much. Finishes 1-0 to the Spiders. But the big game for the championship was very much Falkirk against Ayr, and my word, what a performance from Falkirk!
yeah. They kept Ayr United out that game. Ayr had absolutely no real chances in that. I don't know what happened to them, but Falkirk blew them away.
My theory is the fact that Ayr are playing away from home. It's like I feel like Ayr have very much been advantaged by Scott Brown. Very much came out and said after last week where his goal was to turn Somerset Park into a fortress, and that very much has been the case.
Yeah,
You know, it's like they played the vast majority of the games so far this season at home, and that is why they are top of the league.
I
But
mean,
away from home, they have not been
no,
at it.
they've not
And
been at it. I think as well, last week Scott Brown said after the game against us that he's going to stick with the young boy Liam Russell in goal. He's only 19 years old. And because he kept a clean sheet last week, he's started again against Falkirk. He never really covered himself in glory, especially with the first goal getting beat at his near post.
see, the thing with being beaten at the near post, that's something where as someone who plays in goal myself, it is a case of it's like you're setting yourself up 99% of the time, then not going for the near post.
Yeah,
So it's like you're obviously setting yourself up. You're making yourself as big as possible. It's like, here's where I want you to go there, and then they go there. So
I
it
think
has to
Scott
be like,
Brown's rewarding players as well because they've been winning games. Because they've been winning, he's picking the same team. He's dropped George Oatley for this game, and we know he can score goals at this level. He done it last season for us. He's done it for Inverness and Hamilton. And he's got young kids playing just because of the good game last week. Is that maybe his side of inexperience coming out as well as a manager?
yeah, that could be that as well. I understand like the motivation where it's like, oh, these guys have had a good game, they deserve another goal. But when it comes, but the thing is, it's like you do that against if you got back to back games against teams that you're expected to beat. You
Yeah,
know, teams that are down towards the lower end of the table. No disrespect to Morton, of course, but if it was Morton and then Accies or Dunfermline, then fair enough. But when you're up against Falkirk, you want your more experienced players on because they're the ones who obviously got more experience in playing these sort of games. As you say, the game opens up with Ethan Ross getting an early goal. It's an excellent pass from Oliver,
yeah,
by the way. Perfectly weighted for him. But then after that, Ayr do have a chance. I wasn't able to see who it was because it is red numbering on
Yeah,
yellow.
it's awful.
And with the sun on it, you just could not see what number it was. So yeah, it was a very good chance. He done well, whoever it was, to turn and get the shot away. Just wide of the post, unlucky, But it's a warning shot. But that was the only chance that Ayr really had in that first half. Again, another big chance from Ethan Ross, dancing about in the box, manages to beat a few Ayr defenders, but the shot goes over. And Miller had a one-on-one saved as well.
What I will say about Falkirk is they've got a lot of players that have played in the Championship before and maybe didn't quite cut it, but now they've found like a new lease of life under John McGlynn. We had Gary Oliver at Morton for a number of years and he was okay. You'd never have said that he was going to be a starting player in the Championship for a good side, but now at Falkirk, he's probably the most underrated player in the Championship, in my opinion.
I wouldn't say it's made up of players who were cut adrift from the Championship, because the thing is, half of their squad played for us in the Championship. And they were decent. And a good chunk of that squad was part of the team that got us out of League One and then finished in the playoff spots in our first season back up. And if there's anything you can give credit to John McGlynn for, it's how he's able to get the best out of players. He's very good at making more out of the sum of his parts. There is, of course, the complaints about how he does have a tendency to run players into the ground. We always, just about every season under McGlynn, it was basically a case of the moment the clocks go back, the results start to drop off just through fatigue or just whatever happens. Other teams working out how to beat us and McGlynn not having a plan B. So we'll see how that goes come the second quarter of the season. But again, very good performance. Ross, again, cutting in and getting it into that bottom corner. A very good strike from him.
It all comes from the back as well. The way they played out from the goal kick and built the way up the park as well. I don't know who it was. I think it was number 14 for Ayr United. He slid in at the edge of the box when Calvin Miller's playing the pass to Ethan Ross. No idea why he went to ground like that. It just made life 10 times easier for Ethan Ross, and he's used Frankie Masson as like a marker to round it around the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's a very good finish.
Yeah.
When Ethan Ross was at Raith, I thought that he was really good when he was fit, which was the issue. He had a bit of a tendency to get injured, so if he could go a full season without anything happening to him, then Falkirk are in very good hands. After that, there was a couple of half chances for either side, but nothing really threatening. Falkirk very much in control, comfortable,
Yeah.
and a very good 2-0 win after the disappointment that was last week, losing to Raith.
We've both played against Falkirk. Do you think they're going to reach that level of consistency where they can finish top two in the Championship this season?
I can very much see them being in the playoffs come the end of the season. I think it is very much a case of, as I was saying with John McGlynn, it was a case of once the clocks go back, then the form starts to drop off. So it's a case of, can Falkirk continue this run
Yeah.
after the clocks go back? So they are, however, tied at the top with Ayr now, with 2 games in hand, which is big. We'll get onto one of the games in hand later on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ayr's run their course, if I'm being honest with you. I think they've had a lot of luck so far, and as you say, their home record's great, but away from home they're not so good. For me, I think it'll be Livingston that are going to run away with the league.
I would like to point out that Ayr didn't get a penalty this game. I swear to God, they just kept on getting penalties at home. It was ridiculous just seeing how often it was happening. It was becoming
Thanks for reminding me.
It's like the championship equivalent of penalty to Rangers. That's what it was becoming. So after that exhilarating top of the table clash, we go to 2 mid-table teams in Partick Thistle and Livingston, and my God, there is a reason why the highlights package for this game was about 3 minutes long. Nothing
Quicker than
happened.
20 seconds of warm ups at the beginning.
Nothing happened in this game. It was mostly Thistle in the first half, but the thing is, there wasn't really anything clear cut.
No.
And then second half, there was two highlights. I actually think there was like 2 or 3 highlights. Just again, half chances. The closest we got to a goal was Sol for Livingston. He
Yeah,
had an
that's
effort, cleared off the line. Cleared off the line in like the 92nd minute or something, like really, really late on. But aside from that,
Ryan McGowan had a big chance at the end as well to put Livingston in
yeah, where
front.
it was, where it's like he had like a diving
Yeah,
header, but it just went wide. So obviously Livingston just throwing men forward at the end, trying to get the win. But a 0-0 draw that was probably deserving based on the highlights.
yeah, absolutely awful. I don't know what's happened at Partick Thistle. So we heard the other night that they don't really have an identity at the minute, and that's not Partick Thistle at all. Whether Doolan's going to be the man that'll be able to get them out of the division, I don't think he will be.
Yeah, it was like I did say last week that there is definitely starting to be pressure built on Doolan.
Yeah, they've got a
And
really good squad of players, but he doesn't know how to get the best out of them.
yeah, it does make you wonder what happens to him if that effort isn't cleared off the line.
Yeah,
Is there a case of him being emptied now, or at least like on very thin ice? Because it is starting to get to that point now. Partick have spent a lot. They have really improved their squad. It's like they were comfortably the third best team last season, and with no big dogs in the championship this season, it is a complete free for all, and it's a case of getting that consistency at a high level. But it's just not happening with them at all.
no.
It's just not clicking whatsoever.
I mean, Raith have also got rid of Ian Murray very early on in the season. We were shouting for Dougie Imrie to go because we lost to Queen's Park. Airdrie on Rhys McCabe's back, so it won't be long till the Thistle fans start turning as well.
Yeah, it's like God knows what's going on, because it's like the 3 teams that were in the playoffs last season have just all just started horribly.
Yeah.
Welcome to the championship.
Yeah. Best league in the world.
Yep, nothing is ever the same.
No, it's one of those leagues where anybody can beat anybody, but you've got these kind of games like Partick Thistle and Livingston. You expect goals galore, and you get absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just complete and utter dross.
Yeah, best way to describe it.
It's like there's like a 50-50 chance of you watching the greatest game of all time, or just why do I like football?
And the thing is, with it, these two teams, both of them play Falkirk in their next game as well, so they need to.
Yes, they do, and that is a perfect segue for the one championship game that we have for this week, because we have the Challenge Cup. It is Livingston against Falkirk, again, one of Falkirk's 2 games in hand. Now, this one should be about the same as the game against Ayr for Falkirk, where it is a top end of a table clash. Livingston very much are built to go straight back up. That's obviously what they would have been building for, to get back into the Premiership first time of asking, like just about every other Premiership team that comes down at this point. Not starting as well as they hoped for, but they have just been quietly going along their business.
Yeah,
So
they've
this
not
is
really done
very
anything
much.
wrong.
So this is very much a case of, are Livingston really a title contender? Are Falkirk really a title contender? It's definitely one to look out for.
I'll be honest, I said it after the Morton game. I know we lost to Falkirk, but we went 2-0 up against them. I don't think they're as good as they think they are. I genuinely don't believe Falkirk are that good. They're a solid 7 out of 10, but that's not enough to also get you out of the league. And I do think they will lose to Livingston.
See, that is a very good point, where it is a case of they're very much a top end team, but are they top end enough to win the league? Because that was very much the case with Raith last season, where it's just a case. The difference between Raith and Dundee United last season was the fact that Dundee United had that ability to blow teams away, whereas Raith didn't. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out for Falkirk.
I think with Livingston, their experience from being in the Premiership for the last few years will show in the end. I know they've not got big goal scorers in the team when you've got Robin Muirhead running the line and he scores maybe 10 goals a season. Is it going to be enough? Probably not, but I think they've got enough experience through that team and Shinnie and Pittman that they can get out the division.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It's very. The thing is, like anything can happen at this level. I mean, Livingston will probably have the biggest budget thanks to the parachute payments. So Martindale, we haven't heard any complaints yet, and look what's happening. Not top of the league yet, but this will definitely help towards it. I think that must be everything we have to talk about at this point. Must have covered everything. Anything else that's worthy that's come to your mind?
No, I think that is us because it's all Challenge Cup games at the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the Challenge Cup. Thankfully, Raith are out, so I don't have to watch them this weekend. Unfortunately, Scotland are playing.
You can watch Morton on Friday night. BBC Alba against Hamilton.
Oh, sorry. So Challenge Cup next week. So I'm sure there'll be people on for that. I will probably be back on for that. Let's face it. I mean, I didn't even see the Challenge Cup game that Raith were playing, and I ended up talking with Ethan for like 2 hours, just slagging off half the teams that are in it. But
we're on BBC Alba, so you can watch us on Friday night.
Yes, let's watch the hatchet men of Greenock Morton, as I like to call them. Saying that, he's very much improved on last season when it comes to disciplinary record.
I mean, we're playing a lot better football this season. There's not as many direct balls now. We're trying to play out from the back because we've got a much younger squad.
So, a change of identity it is then.
It's taken a wee while for us to actually stamp our authority with it, but when you've got guys like Aaron Lyle in your team, you're not going to play long ball. It'd be pointless having those type of players.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, with Raith not playing, we'll actually be able to get players back in fit and hopefully start winning against teams.
You play on Wednesday, don't you?
The thing is, I think our 2 wins have come from 1-0 wins and only goals for penalties. It's just really weird. But yeah, so that's going to be all for this week's Championship Roundup. Of course, you can find the podcast on YouTube. We have an Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page. And of course, aside from YouTube, we're also on Spotify. I've been Callum Blythe, and we shall see you for the next one. All right, I'd seen that. That's it. I'm kicking you off.